Hello, brick sculptors, and welcome back to BrickSculpt. This is Chris, and today we're gonna sort. This is the second one of my sort and chat videos. This is going to be a longer video. Some of you might not be into that. That's okay. If it's not for you, I understand. But I kind of just want to talk through some things. We'll give you some updates. I'm going to put all this stuff away. If you watched my video a couple days ago, this is what I opened up. Haven't had a chance to put it away yet. Had a friend in town, so I've been taking a little bit of time off. A little bit, not a lot, just a little. So I got to put all this stuff away into my wall, and I'll show you some of my bins while I do it. First of all, we'll do a basic sort here. Plant pieces on one side. That's all going to go in different bins. And then we can kind of sort by color. That's all the plants there. And we'll kind of go color by color and just fill out the bins on the wall. Let's maybe start with olive green. Why not? Olive green's a great color. Something I've wanted to get more and more of. I have a decent amount, but there is a pretty limited part selection in olive green. So I can't really say I have a ton of it. But I think a lot of that's also just because there's not a ton of it to be had. Now something like this, that's going to go in my specialty pieces, not in the olive green bin, because those kind of get lost in there. So that goes in my more detail pieces. It makes sense that way in my head. It might not make sense to you, and that's okay. We all have different ways of doing these things. Alright, olive green bin, here we go. At this point I only have one olive green bin, so anything I own that's not in Mox is in here. And I have quite a bit in Mox, but that's really it. You know, I don't have a ton of it. Sort some of this out here. We got 1x6 tiles, 1x3s. Some of these bins are definitely messier than others. That can move. We'll put our 1x3s right there. That's a piece I didn't already own. 2x4s. We can probably put these in here. Some of these bins are going to be kind of a mess. You know, I try to keep them organized, but things happen, and it's not always super easy to do. And as the collection grows, it can become more and more difficult to keep organized. I'll just pop those in there. Yeah, see, this here's a mess. Masonry bricks mixed with cheese slopes. Might just leave that be for now. Sometimes I gotta pick my battles if I'm gonna get through this massive pile. I can't sort everything. Some battles are just too big for right now. But we'll just put our wedges in here. There we go. Got a decent amount of stuff I don't already own. That's good. I gotta fix this though. This isn't gonna work. Thought I could get away with it. I don't own a lot of olive green masonry brick. It's not the most common color, it's not the cheapest color, and it's not the most useful color of it. It does have some uses, don't get me wrong, but you're probably not going to build an entire building out of olive green very often. Need some more dividers. Let's get those out of my drawer here. There's one. 2. Alright, so we've got our double cheese slopes. We're going to put these slopes here. Whoops. Find my tongs. Tongs? Tweezers. Tweezers. Not tongs. I think I'm actually going to do this. Now, I know I don't own a lot of masonry brick, but that is definitely something I'd like to change in the near future because I do use all colors of masonry brick pretty frequently. So maybe I'll leave a little bigger section for masonry brick. And I can fill that up a bit in one of my future orders. Oh, and there's a bunch more brick. Alright, never mind, scrap that idea. for now, that's where masonry brick is going. 1x2 plates. There we go. One more check. Oh, there's a single olive green piece in there. Nope. There we go. What's next? Let's do yellowish green. This is one of the colors I really don't have a lot of uses for, but I want to expand. And here, this is all the yellowish green I have in bins. It's not a lot. And this is really all the bright green, which I guess I have a bunch more here. You're probably in the very near future going to see a split here where this gets its own bin, which is kind of the goal of this order. So for now, I'm actually just going to kind of stick this stuff in here, because if I open all these up, I have to resort them. So I'm just going to get them in these bins for now and deal with it later, because in the bags, it's all contained. It'll be much easier just to switch that over to a new bin. So it's not a ton yet, but I think it'll inspire me to continue to collect yellowish green. I also don't have a spot on the wall yet, but in the future I will. I'm also going to leave the bright green stuff bagged, because if I do this split, I'm going to have to rearrange it all anyway. So those are just going to stay like that for now. Another one that might need to get its own bin soon is vibrant yellow, and I bought a decent amount of vibrant yellow here. A color I really have no use for. I don't typically build the kind of stuff that uses a color like this, but you know, doesn't mean you don't want to own it anyway. We're just going to do this for now. This I definitely don't have enough for its own bin yet. But if we try real hard, maybe someday we will. I also have some of this old school yellow, excuse me. I don't even know what you call that, but got a little bit of that in there too. All right, what's next? That's an easy one. This bin actually is pretty full. I don't use this color much, but it is a very nice looking color. Nice looking bin. Orange. Just got these clips. I know in the opening video of this I mentioned that these were for a fall challenge build. I wanted to make basically a circle of these around an 8-sided figure, and then have flex tube pieces connect them and make a pumpkin shape. The problem was the flex tube didn't hold very tight in these. It is not genuine Lego flex tube. It's Bevan's Bricks flex tube, which is super nice and works well enough for me at least. But in that application it didn't work so hot, and it was just kind of a straight up failure. It was a last minute idea anyway. The challenge was basically over, and if I wanted to fiddle around with it a little more, I might have been able to figure it out, but it wasn't worth it. So for time's sake, I scrapped the idea. These are two colors I really want to work hard on separating, but I just don't have enough of either of them. Coral on this side and reddish orange, orangish red, reddish orange I think it is, on that side. Got some 2x4 plates. Got some snot pieces here. Where do I want to put those? Right there. But in the future, this would be a possible split. Now this reddish orange is a very new color. I think it's new this year. So that's kind of the main reason I don't have a lot of that. It is available. It is actually out there in quite a few pieces, but it's fairly expensive, and it's still not the most common. Whoops, here's another one. Still not the most common color out there. As it gets in more and more sets, I think the price will drop a bit, and then I'll collect more. But we're just not there yet. Okay, we're making good progress. Let's dive into the sand green. Now this is a color I likely will need to split into 2 bins in the near future. This is getting pretty full, and I actually have a decent amount to add to this today. So this may be another future video, the splitting of the sand green, an epic tale. How do I want to do this? I got a lot of these tiles. I don't know why I got these. Good piece. I'd probably make a really cool roof out of that for an older building. But I didn't have anything in mind when I bought them. They must have been cheap. And I bought quite a few. That might just have to go right there. Jumpers don't really have a good home in here. It's getting crowded. Yeah, this is very likely going to turn into 2 bins in the near future here, because I just do not have space in this bin for much. And it's not that the stuff doesn't fit, but the more you combined, you can't find anything, and that's when you start to kind of lose the purpose of the bin. If you can't find where your stuff is, then you can't see your inventory, and you can't be as creative with it, I guess. Or you double order it and you spend a bunch of money you didn't need to spend. That's the other problem. Well, you can never have too many Legos. Is that all? No, of course not. These dumbbell type pieces, I don't know what I call them that. I'm sure no one else does, but these are really handy. In this color, maybe not so much. Maybe for a plant or something. But in general, it's a good piece. Clips and stuff. Just gonna stick those in there. Surfboards should probably go in specialty, but when they're in green, sand green, you're not going to probably use it as an actual surfboard, so it's really not a specialty piece so much as it is a building material. Let's do some dark brown here. Dark brown's a color I really like. I'm always trying to expand on the dark brown selection. Still a little more uncommon than I would like it to be, but pretty good part selection. You can get a lot of stuff in dark brown. Sometimes expensive, though. Certain pieces are out there, but kind of uncommon. Let's put those in there. What else we got? Anything else? So we got a few slopes here. I think that's it for dark brown. Looks like we got some green plate. Let's go ahead and get those out of here. Yeah, these work really well for these bases I made for my trees, for my tree design videos. Basically what I did, I take these, connect them like that, and like this, and they make just this really nice rounded, and then I put a 2x6 plate in the middle, 2x2 on each side, and then a 2x2 jumper right in the middle, and just makes for an excellent little base for a tree. So that's what I got those for, because I've been doing so many trees, and you can just very nicely display a tree on those. We're going to put our creeper in here. I did not buy that to use as a creeper. I'm not particularly a Minecraft type person. I bought that to use as possibly a potential plant, piece, using those limbs to kind of move branches out at angles. We'll see how it works out. It might be a big failure, but that's okay. Dark green, looks like we got some 1x2s here. I used a decent amount of dark green in my fall challenge build, so need to do a little restock on that. One problem I always have, because I do order a lot like this, is I just have bags. I have drawers of bags. I've thrown away so many bags. I always feel guilty because I'm like, somewhere out there's someone who's like, oh, I could really use a lot of those bags. And like old me before doing all this would have like found so many good uses for a bag like this. I just have so many now. I don't know what to do with them. I brought some to work. I sell people like nuts and bolts and hardware. I put them in these. But even there I have too many. So I don't know what to do with them all. If anyone has a good idea for bags, little baggies, let me know, because I always feel bad throwing these away. And these sellers do such a great job making this look all beautiful and packaging everything nicely. And then I dump it in a bin and I throw this bag away. So, I don't know. So with these, I'm not quite sure where I want to put them. I have a bin for hinges, but I might just put them in the brown here because I don't have a lot in here. This is a bin I've been kind of trying to bulk up. And this is like all my tree trunk building stuff, or most of it. So it really belongs in here more than anything. So I think that's what I'm going to do. It's breaking my own rules a little bit, but they're my rules. I can break them, right? I think I'm going to do that because, you know, that's the way I'm going to build. I'm going to use the same type of stuff for the same applications. I'm not going to use these for really anything except for trees, at least that I can think of. And my goal here is to kind of get some angled tree branches on oak trees with this, and having that ratchet there really strong. So that's the idea. We'll see how it works out. It's going to be an experiment, but likely, if it works out, it will likely be a in the tree sculptor series. Clips. Lots of pieces I've run out of, and I do own a lot of this stuff, but I use these so frequently in tree trunks. That's why I'm always running out. These are actually going to go in the other brown bin. These can go in here. Where do I want to put them, though? Right here. That's where they go. Good. This is such a great piece. I'm really excited about these. I forgot that I bought these. I didn't get a lot. I'm sure they were expensive. But that's going to make for an amazing tree piece. Being able to connect on 6 sides, that's going to be gold. Cannot wait to play around with that piece. Those connectors are not going to go in here. They're actually going to go off with this stuff in my candlesticks for whatever reason. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but my candlesticks and my pin connectors and my bar pieces don't get sorted by color. They probably should, but they don't. So they're going to end up somewhere. They're going to end up in another bin. Shouldn't say somewhere else. I know exactly where they're going to go. I just need to get them there. What else we got? Bar pieces, trunk. These can go in here. I don't know if I love these or hate them. I mean, they definitely have a nice tree trunk curve, but it's kind of very specific, very chunky, one-piece looking. We'll see. That might be a failure, but I wanted to try it out. All right. This stuff, let's see here. Candlesticks. This bin here holds my pin connectors and candlesticks, and I use these basically just for trees. So I'm going to keep this with it. I'll probably just keep them bagged. These are the angled ones. Can you see that there? Sorry, they're in the bag. They'll go right with that. Brown, reddish brown candlesticks I use so many of. always refilling and always running out. Got to feed the mock. And reddish brown pin connectors, same thing. Got a decent amount of them right now, though. Any other candlesticks here? I thought I had got a couple silver ones. Flat silver. Oh, I got some more sand green here, too. I think that's it for candlesticks and pin connectors. Oh, no, it's not. I actually keep pins in here too for the connectors. I have a whole other bin full of pins, but the friction pins, they're going in there. Because that's where I typically pull from. The other bin is just bulk more than anything. Got a couple sand blue jumpers. Let's put those away real quick. Sand blue is not as overflowing as sand green. I definitely own a lot more sand green. In the future, this will likely get 2 bins, but it's going to need a little more time. All right, let's do this aqua, light aqua. This is kind of the one I'm the most excited about. Not that this is a color I really ever use or use much, but it's a bin that I really want to make look nicer. So we've got a good start here, but it's kind of weak. This is not the most common color on Earth. Also not the most useful color on Earth. So we got some new pieces here to incorporate into our bin. Some snot pieces. I really don't know what I will build with this stuff. But again, this is just to kind of inspire building. If I don't have a good part selection, I just kind of steer away from the color as a whole. If I do have a good part selection, I'm more encouraged to actually try to use it. Let's see, what do I want to do here? Let's put those in there. That makes more sense. Those don't need that whole big bin, but don't have anything else to fill that spot right now. Let's do that. I've got some jumpers here. Those can go up top here. Some curves, some 1x1 round plates. Yeah, they'll go right there. So not bad. It's progress. Could be better. It's a growing color for me. All right, what else we got? Oh, I forgot some vibrant yellow. The most non-useful color that I just have to collect because I like it. What else we got? Lime green. So I know I've answered this before, but I get asked all the time, Brick Owl, BrickLink, where do you buy from? And the answer for me is almost always Brick Owl, which is not a popular opinion, to be honest. BrickLink is the go-to for most brick buyers. And I do like BrickLink. For whatever reason, when I use both sites on my computer, I just find Brick Owl easier to navigate. And I don't know why. But I don't know. I just like the functionality of the site. I wish I could give you good examples. I like the layout better. I find it much easier to find a specific part very quickly and filter colors. And Brick BrickLink, they like to list every single color. And in BrickOwl, they like to list the part. You click on the part, and then you get the colors. And I'm sure there's a way to do that in BrickLink, too. Just the way my brain works, BrickLink always gets me turned around and looking at, one piece in a million colors where I just want to see all the pieces. But the biggest thing, the very biggest reason that I am more of an owl than a linker is phone usage. I don't have a lot of free time in my life, if you could imagine that. I do work a full-time job, about 40 hours a week, and I have a child who is 6, and I have a wife, and I have a house, and I try to have a life. Doesn't always happen. But I also do YouTube, and I take a lot of time, put a lot of time into YouTube, which means every minute is precious. And the long story I'm trying to get to here, the conclusion I'm trying to get here is I do a lot of my ordering on my phone laying in bed. I don't know, it's just peaceful. I like to do it. I do it on the PC at times, but usually when I'm on the PC, I'm editing or watching YouTube videos, or, I'm not ordering parts per se. I tend to do that at night in bed. BrickLink on the phone. Let me know in the comments if you disagree or if you agree completely, but it is horrible to use. I don't know. I cannot make it work well. It's definitely more optimized for use on a PC or a larger screen, because everything you have to scroll sideways, up, down. You have to almost zoom on it. I don't like it at all. BrickOwl on the smartphone is very user-friendly. I would say just as user-friendly as the PC version. Just easy to use, and that makes a huge difference for me. Now, the nice thing is most sellers, not all, most sellers list on both. Price-wise, I couldn't tell you which one's better. Probably BrickLink, and my only reason I would say that is there's likely more sellers on BrickLink, which means it's a little more competitive, which means chances are people are going to be pricing lower to try to beat out the other more population of sellers there. I might be wrong about that, but that's just my gut feeling. But I don't mind, if it costs me an extra little a couple pennies, that's okay at times, especially if it means I can do it conveniently, as opposed to having to disrupt my schedule to order parts. I find it relaxing. I like doing it at the end of the day. I have a tendency to build carts that are just massive. I'll find a seller I like, or a piece that I need for a challenge or build or something, and I'll go through that seller and I'll basically click on every category. I don't always get all the way through the minifig category on BrickOwl because it's usually a lot, like thousands of pieces. And it's like not minifig pieces per se, yeah, that's in there, but a lot of it's accessories, stuff like this, like rakes and, just things that are minifig associated. But I'll try to get through every category if it's a seller that I know I'm going to do an order, and then I'll just add anything that is of all interest in a cart. And it'll come out and like, okay, here's a cart for $170, and then I'll go trim. I'll be like, okay, what do I want? What don't I want? Okay, I got a little ambitious, I put these on there. I ordered 20 of them. It was expensive, so I back it down to 4, something like that. And I'll just trim it until I get to a number I like, and I get to things I like, and maybe I'll be working on multiple carts, and then I'll have another cart that, oh, well, I got that same piece from this other store, and theirs were cheaper, so I'm going to get it there instead. And I'll just leave a bunch of open carts, and then, once a month or so, I go through and delete a bunch of carts that I'm like, yeah, that one didn't work out, so they don't, that one's not going to get ordered. And every couple times a week, hair. There's always hair in these. A couple times every week, I'll have a cart that looks good, and it's like, okay, I got to get this going. I got to finish this challenge build or whatever. I got a video coming up I need these parts for. Fire it off and get it ordered. And it works out pretty good. It's a good system. And I just don't find the ability to do that on BrickLink. Now, I know BrickLink has some nice filtering tools, and I have used those. For example, especially if you're using something like Rebrickable, you can go on BrickLink and you can put a mock in and put every part in and say, find these from a seller, and it's going to come up with, okay, if you buy it all from this seller, it's going to cost this much. You can split it into 2 orders, and it's going to cost less, but you're getting it from 2 places, and double, play with the freight. Those tools are really cool, but I don't order like that. I think I've done that 2 times. I've ordered like that, and the funny thing was, it was for 2 things that were built for me. One of them was this. Luca Herman built this on my Discord server, sent me a studio link with parts list, uploaded it right to BrickLink, and clicked find all the parts. I think it came from 1, maybe 2 sellers. Some of these curves, these 1x3s, are a little trickier to get. But I think that was it. Everything else came from their seller, or from 1 seller. But that worked out great. And I'm sure I paid a little more for it. Maybe not. Maybe it was maybe it optimized it right. Who knows? But something like that would have been a nightmare to go through this list and try to find all these pieces. So yes, I got that from BrickLink. This was another one. Somebody designed this on my Discord server as well. I thought it was super cool. And I had most of these pieces, but I'm like, this is going to be inexpensive stuff. It's all just bricks and plates. It's nothing crazy. So I threw that into a BrickLink cart, and I knew it was all there. Even if I already had the stuff, I'm like, boom, it's everything I need. I think it was all from 1 seller. And I was able to build that without having to scrap everything together. So there are some advantages to BrickLink, and there is a time and a place for it. And I do like BrickLink. I'm not knocking BrickLink at all. It's just that, for me, the Brick Owl thing works better. And I am well aware that is not a popular opinion. I know that most people disagree with that they tend to shop BrickLink. The funny thing is, the one I use the least is the Pick-a-Brick wall. Or, I'm sorry, not the wall. I actually like the wall. The Pick-a-Brick, online Pick-a-Brick. I do like the online Pick-a-Brick. I think the pricing is kind of ridiculous, to be honest. Some of the stuff makes a lot of sense. But some of it, it's like Lego is gouging their own customers on, like, rare pieces. And if you think about it, Lego is molding small pieces of plastic. To them, this piece versus a more rare piece in the same color and roughly the same size costs really no difference, or it should cost really no difference. But they can look at it and say, oh, there's a gajillion of these out there, and everyone has them, and every seller has them, and you can probably pick these up for 2 cents a piece on Brick Owl, BrickLink, or probably even on online Pick-a-Brick. But this other piece is in less sets. It's less common. There's not a lot out there. So we put the price higher, which I find kind of funny. You're selling like factory pieces of plastic, and they're following like their own markets of these pieces. It's kind of strange. They're kind of doing a supply and demand thing on pieces that they're able to mass produce. So it's weird to me. But with that being said, I do order on there, and sometimes it is the best way to get stuff. I mean, on some newer stuff it's harder to get. They'll have it there. They're very strange with like the popular item list versus the bestseller list versus the non-bestseller list. I would highly recommend never ordering off the non-bestseller list. I made that mistake, and it was a disaster. You get the bestsellers. I just kind of threw everything in a cart I wanted, just like I do on Brick Owl. And the bestsellers came like within a few days. And the non-best sellers I forgot about. Like, it wasn't a lot of parts. It was maybe like 24 parts. Maybe a little more. But anyway, I just like, oh, I must not have ordered that stuff. Who knows? Or maybe they didn't have it and they refunded. I don't know. I didn't pay close attention to it. But anyway, then like over a month later, these small bags of parts from probably Europe just started showing up. And it was like multiple. And I'm like, this is just dumb. You know, if you can't supply it in a timely manner, just don't even list it. Like, I'm sure that's not cost effective for them. And I'm sure nobody building a mock wants to wait 2 months for a brick. You know, if I would have known, and that was an experiment, none of that stuff was real important. I wasn't really waiting on it. But if I would have needed it for a challenge, I would have been like, well, this is dumb, and then I have to go buy it somewhere else, and then I'm going to get double because it's going to show up later. So, yeah, they need to scrap the non-bestseller list. I think they need to just go with bestsellers. If they can't provide something quickly and effectively, don't even list it on there. And it kind of seems they're going that way. I think they even now had, like, last time I was on, I think they had, like, a disclaimer that even said, like, they were only selling the best sellers right now. It might have to do with the tariff stuff. I don't know. You guys might know. I don't order on there very often. You know, I've probably done only a handful of orders on online Pick-a-Brick. I do like regular Pick-a-Brick. If you watch my stuff, you'll know I try to do a monthly pilgrimage to my pair of Lego stores. I have two of them right next to each other. One of them is a official Lego store in a mall in Schaumburg, Illinois, and the other one is a Lego Discovery Center that is right around the corner from the official Lego store in the mall. And the Pick-a-Brick on the official Lego store is immaculate. I mean, they have one bin, one small container of mixed parts, and it's still incredibly clean. And everything else is perfectly sorted. Each bin has just one unique item, except for maybe if it's like flowers and stems, but that makes sense. But it's just immaculate. You go around the corner of the Discovery Center, every single bin is just junk thrown in there, and it's horrible. But I still go to both, because you don't know what you're going to find. I've had times that the good store, the clean store, has paid off really well, and I get great stuff. I've had times I go in there and it's a bunch of generic pieces I don't want, and then I go to the Discovery Center and I pick through these bins because they're a total mess, and I get a whole bunch of really good items. So even though it's not as pretty, it still can pay off. And I've gotten some really good stuff out of there. You just have to be patient with it. It is more expensive, too. At the Discovery Center, everything, Pick-a-Brick included, is a percentage higher than at the Lego store, which I find kind of funny. It's like they want to like tourist trap you. You know, you go there for the kids' attractions, and then they try to get you to buy a set at an inflated price. But any given set in that Discovery Center is overpriced compared to Lego Online, official Lego store, even big box. Like, it's not a good place to buy stuff. And the Pick-a-Brick wall, I think, is $2 extra for a large box. Which, again, I'm fine paying, because if they have the right parts, Pick-a-Brick is like the most cost-effective place to buy. So if they have the right stuff, I'll pay $2 extra. It's fine. I mean, sometimes that pays out in tenfold. You know, you get a box on Pick-a-Brick. Some of those boxes, if you hit the right parts, you know, it'd be stuff that you'd pay $50, $60, $70 on Brick Owl for $20. So it's totally worth it at that price. Yeah, it is more specialty stuff. Oh, they're not going. They're going to go on animals. What goes in here? Syringes will go in here. This is one of my more favorite bins. I got a lot of cool stuff in here. It's all minifig accessories. I have more minifig accessories in this too. This is just kind of the favorites, the ones I use more frequently. I got lots of piles of stuff for Knights and Star Wars and that, but that's not stuff I use very often. Let's see, what else do I have here? Printed tiles. Not a lot of printed tiles in here, but I have these eyeballs. Those I'm going to keep bagged because I do not want to have to sort those. Those eyeballs are likely going to be for a Christmas build for my daughter's school party, if they'll have me. I did it last year with her class, and we all built snowmen. I can link that video at the end. And it went over real well, so I think this year I might try to do a reindeer if I have time. We'll see. What happened to my birds here? Oh, come on. See, the one thing, I do love these bins, but the one thing I hate is these pull out easily. And people have told me, you know, you can glue them, you can do things to make them tighter, and I understand that. The sheer quantity of these that I own, I'm got to be pushing 100 bins now. I don't want to go through and glue them. I really don't. I don't want to go through and modify them. I'm just too lazy for that. Maybe it's lazy. Maybe I realize I do not have that kind of time on my hands. So I do understand that there is a possibility to make that better. See, I've always had these coral fish. Well, not always. I got these fairly recently too. But now I got the seashell and the seahorse to go with it. But anyway, I do know there's a way I could improve on that, and I am 100% just neglecting doing it, and I really don't want to. Really, really don't want to. That just sounds like a lot of work. And I am not ready for that. Flowers. This is one of the best flowers you can get. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact. No, these are great, and they fit really well on top of the three leaf pieces, these kind. And they're hard to find. Whenever I see them, unless there's some stupidly ridiculous price, I buy them. And I don't see them very often. But I do always look. You have to look. All right, plant bins. I love my plant bins. These are probably my favorite bins of everything I own. I just bought a bunch of these. I used them in a couple trees. One of them I've already shown, and a couple of them already shown, but I've got a few more for an upcoming tree sculptor video that I haven't shown yet. Ooh, this is interesting. I think I might need to do a swap here. These pieces are great, but they're expensive, so I don't own a lot of them. I think I'm going to move my vines to here and put these in here if they'll fit. It's going to be tight. They're flexible. Hopefully I'm not breaking anything. All right, and we'll put our vines right here. I like that a lot. And I have dark green vines. There we go. These trees really don't belong in here. These are going to go in bulk. They don't belong in here. That's it for that one. For whatever reason, my bar pieces all stay together. I'm very strange with that. I sort everything by color and then by piece, except for some very specific pieces, and bars are one of them. And I really don't know why. Maybe it's mostly because I don't have room in some of these bins, like the white, gray, dark gray, and black bins have gotten very full. I've got 3 bins of each of those colors. The dark gray isn't that bad, but the white and black especially are just crazy packed. And trying to squeeze more stuff in there, it's going to get messy. So there is definitely a possibility in the near future that I might need to expand those. But taking things like bars out of there, hinges out of there, really helps in making sure I have enough room in there. I need a divider. There we go. Windows. What do I do with stud shooters? Oh, I got more bar pieces. Forgot about these reddish brown ones. They're gonna go right here. More plants. These were a good find. I don't know why, but Lego makes dark green accessible, bright green super accessible, and regular green, it's like they don't want to make it anymore. You don't see it hardly ever, but the bright green ones are everywhere. Now, I got nothing against bright green, but green, traditional regular green, is hands down the most useful color in this piece, at least for me. And it's like one of the harder ones to get. It's just funny because as a kid, that was the only option. So I had a bunch of these from my old collection. They're not in as nice a shape as these ones. But for some reason, this is becoming a rarer part or less common. It's taken a back seat to other colors. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So Lego, if you're listening, I know that you listen to every one of my videos and value my opinions. But Lego, what's wrong with the green? Bring back the green. We need more green. All right, so there's those. What else we got? Stems. I really like this bin. This bin's got a lot of good stuff in it. So many stems. And I have been using a ton of stems. I do not have a bin for sand green stems. Should I? Yep, that's what I'll do. I'll split that. Okay, need a divider. Getting low on dividers. I'll have to cut one. Still have some of these brand new. I just bought a whole bunch more bins. I need a few more. I'm going to be building another storage system for my right side over here, and I'm going to need more bins for it. So I bought, I think I got 7 more, and I need another 10 to fill it out the way I want to build it. And I'm kind of conflicted if I want to add another row, which would add another 15. The problem is, if I don't add it, then what I build will not look good if I decide to add it later. And the other problem is if I do add it, then I have to figure out what to fill it with, and I have to buy 15 more bins. Not the end of the world, but 15 bins at, I think they went up a little bit. I think they're like $5.75 now, which is still a fantastic price, but let's just call it $5. 15 times 5, you're looking at $75. So it's not exactly nothing. You know, it's not a bad deal for 15 bins, but they're not free. And I already own so many of them that I don't know that I necessarily need them. My collection has not grown that fast or that big. So, yeah, I don't know. Still up in the air on that one. Alright, that's going in bulk. Where'd the other tree go? I had 2 of these trees, didn't I? Uh-oh. Oh well, I'll find it later. Put my bags over there. Stud shooters, windows. I got 1 dark orange spyglass. A piece I don't own any of. These are going to go in here. Oh, I forgot I have 1 cattle horn. Okay, I got to figure out this stuff, but we're pretty much cleaned up here. All right, we're ready. Nice clean surface now. Got to figure out what to do with those bags too. All right, guys. Well, I hope you liked this video. I hope you guys like these longer format films here. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more just like this in the future. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. That's all I have for this time, and we will see you next time.